All right, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, July 24th, 2023. It's the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I am your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here, the birthday boy, Big Marcel. Marcel, man, happy birthday, dude. We're both 34 now, Marcel, and we both have the same haircut. This guy copied me, by the way. I'm the one who shaved it first. He copied me, but joined the bald gang at 34, Marcel. Happy birthday, man. How you doing?
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Yeah, man, I think your haircut is so sexy. I was like, I gotta have it as well, So I'm doing well, man. Looking forward to talk to you as always about MMA, about UFC, and yeah, I mean, good birthday. It was fun. Had family over. Family now at home because it's like a midway day at work. How do you say that? A work weekday, So most people have to be up and early in the morning again. So yeah, most people were gone early, but yeah, understandable, of course. And I didn't want to keep doing it in the weekend because I always have a lot of work in the weekends, And so I was like, yeah, just do it on my birthday on a Monday, and yeah, it was fun. It's always fun when my family comes over. Really fun family. So yeah, it was good.
Absolutely, dude. So I'm glad we're doing it today because we weren't sure if we're going to do it, but we are. So I've got some comments here. Gwen, you got a happy birthday there. You can read the comments yourself, Marcel.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
A lot of guys. Joe, happy birthday, man. I had no idea it was your birthday, dude. Happy birthday, buddy. Hope you had a good one too, man. Old man Joe, 44 years old. There you go. 10 years older than us, Joe. Or than me, I should say. Actually, no, 10 years older than Marcel. I'll be 35 next month, so. Or yeah.
Don't call me old, Marcus. Don't call me old because I gotta give you some bad tips to bed.
Marcus is like Marcus. How old are you guys? I can't remember. You're like 40. You're like 45 too, aren't you, Marcus? With that, you're about the same age as Joe. Anyways, we're going to recap UFC London, then we'll do the preview for UFC 291, which I'm looking forward to, man, because that card's awesome.
I like it as well.
Absolutely. So I think we'll get into it now, Marcel. Start with the main event, work our way down. Marcus is 47. Marcus, you're looking good for your age, man. All right. So first off, I mean, we knew this was going to be a fucking crazy fucking card, right, Marcel, didn't we? And
yeah.
I said, like, either one of us is going to have a good night and one of us is going to have a horrible night, or it's just going to be in between. And it ended up being in between.
That's always pretty much.
Somehow, we had 10 different picks last week, guys. 10 different picks, which had never happened. It was a first. We both ended up at 8-7.
Yeah.
So it was basically a 500 night. Like, for me, like, I was pretty good at picking my spots. Lost on McCann, obviously, but I was pretty good at picking the other spots. And it was an okay night for me otherwise, because some of the leans I had were dogs that didn't end up winning, but they weren't, like, strong leans. It is what it is. It was a kind of a weird card, like it was kind of a strange card. You did have quite a few upsets on the card, but not a ton to be called. Although I did call a really big one. We're going to talk about in a second here. But I say we start. We got a crazy pato in the chat too. Let's start off in the main event, Marcel. Let's work our way down as we always do, my friend. And we'll start off here with Tom Aspinall knocking out Marcin Tybura. I mean, really, Marcel, this fight was kind of just an obvious matchup, right? Like, it was one of the most obvious fights the UFC's booked in a while. They weren't going to give Tom a fight he was going to lose on home soil after that injury. They gave him I know Tybura has a lot of good wins, guys. I get that. A lot of top 15 wins. I get that. But, like, we saw what happens every time he stepped up to fight a really good guy. He almost always loses. And that happened again here. He gets knocked out in a minute 13 seconds. The fight was pretty clear-cut. And, yeah, no surprise. Any thoughts, Marcel, on the fight?
So, yeah, the funny thing is, like, Tom told our commentator before the fight that he was going to throw a high kick and try to knock him out in the first 10 seconds. And he threw that high kick and it wobbled Tybura, although it didn't really came through. Yeah, man, I still think, like, a huge chip fell off Tom's shoulder, because you saw his reaction after the fight. He was really, like, looking at how do I look when I come back after that injury, and we both knew and we both picked Tom to win this fight with pretty easy. Let's be honest. We both thought that there was like what do you say that home in the ball in the park. I don't know exactly what's in
home run, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, he looked good, man, from the start, and the really great thing what he did is, like, he doesn't throw like just to throw hard punches, but he really looks, and he threw that last one down the middle where there was the opening, and he knocked Tybura down and he finished him. I picked him with submission first round. He went with TKO first round. I mean, good win for Tom Aspinall, and after that he said, I'm going to Paris I'm going to go cage side, and I will fight the winner of Cyril Gane against Sergey Spivak. And after that, I'm going to fight John Jones. Well, I tell you right now, dude, he might. Maybe he doesn't even need one more win, because I think Jones and Miocic fighting in New York. I think Jones wins the fight. He retires. I think Miocic retires, and I think in 2024 Aspinall fights Pavlovich for the vacant light heavyweight title. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just going to jump in. I completely agree. That's what I think happens too. I'm a little surprised he called the winner Gone in Spivak. He already beat Spivak, so it doesn't make a lot of sense.
He's a respectful dude, you know.
I get it, but why not call it Pavlovich? Like, that's the fight
True.
to call out. It was kind of a weird call. I didn't really agree with it. That's what Marcus is saying there. Oh, good backup. Actually, he's not wrong. I think maybe they'll ask him. Actually, I would imagine they asked Pavlovich, right? Didn't he was the backup at the last one?
I would think I think Pavlovich is the backup. Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
Definitely because Pavlovich has that win over Blades. And Aspinall, it's technically it's not a loss. It's officially a loss. I don't see it as a loss, but technically Pavlovich has the win over Blades, you know. So
yeah, for sure. There's a couple of comments here talking about Tybura. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, there wasn't a lot up there, but I'm just saying it was an obvious fight. It wasn't a hard fight to break down. Like I think we spent like 30 seconds on that fight. You know what I mean? There's other fights that are tough to break down. I understand, like, not all the big favorites win, but this one was so obvious to me, Marcel. Like, the speed advantage, right? Like, there was such a huge speed advantage.
You know what I like so much on Tom, man? Tom is like a super humble guy outside the cage, you know.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Super hardworking, respectful to his opponent before the fight, after the fight, comes to throw down, finishes the fight, and is respectful to everybody, you know. And I like that a lot. I know a lot of fans love the trash talk, love the heel kind of thing and that kind of stuff. I really like these guys who just like working hard, a lot of talent and hard work, being kind outside the ring and inside the ring, and just working hard and getting the job done. You know, I love that. I think a lot of people like Tom Aspinall because of that. You know, he's becoming. I put out a tweet like 99% of the people love Tom Aspinall, and obviously two or three people are like, yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Yeah, you're at the 1%. You know, but most people like him because he's just a normal, hardworking dude. And who doesn't like a dude who works hard, finishes fights, succeed? You know, everybody does pretty much. Yeah,
I saw somebody saying I think he has the most finishes in the UFC since 2020. Okay. I think I saw that stat.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's possible.
It might just be a heavyweight, but either way, it's a good stat to have. You got our boy Sergio, here. You got another happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Molly wasn't the right pick, obviously. How did Fili would not get fighted today? It was a good fight, but I honestly think that Roberts and Parsons were a little bit more exciting, but they were both good fights. I personally think Aspinall and Pavlovich good fight, deserves you a belt. It probably will be. I'm with Marcel. The winner of Jones and Stipe, both fighters probably never fight again. That's the last fight they have, I think.
You know what it is? It's a waste to do Pavlovich against Aspinall, not for a belt, because imagine they do this fight on the same card as Miocic against Jones. You know, imagine they do that. You know. And they fight, for example, like the opener of the main card, you know, and one of the two guys wins. And then Jones Miocic fight the main event, Jones wins, and both guys retire. Then you have a waste of a fight because that could have been your title fight, you know. And then you might have to do, then it's maybe possible to do Aspinall Gane if Gane wins against Spivak, because that's not sure. I think Gane Spivak is way much closer than Tybura Aspinall. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's how I see it, you know.
Fair enough. We also had join the shaved head gang. Yeah, absolutely. So much easier.
Bro. Not only my head, but no, I'm just kidding. No, it's just my head.
Did you do it yourself or?
Yeah, man, always.
You probably didn't get your assistant to do it.
I got to say, like at the back, that
you left the little thing.
Yeah, I let somebody else do that, you know, but it's not like, but here, above here and there, I do it myself. But man,
you need more experience, man. Trust me. Like I used to get, someone else to do the neck and in the back of the head, but I do it myself now, man. You got to like use different angles in the mirror and get your arm back there.
Why is this hole deeper than this one? It's fucking annoying. You know
you're
what
a
I mean?
Alien, dude. That's why.
Yeah, it's just like a fucking.
This means you're getting old. This is wisdom here, boys.
Yeah, it's like well, you have a little bit more, so you have more wisdom.
Oh,
right?
I know. It's also a lot of stress. Anyways, okay, so I think we're good with the main event, right? Let's talk about the co-main event. Great pick. Got to give you a lot of credit here. I mean, I honestly thought this was an easy setup fight for Molly, kind of like the main event, but Molly has one of the worst ground games in the UFC. I mean, she's so bad in the ground, obviously. Good pick, man. I really didn't trust Stoliarenko, but I will give you credit because you talked about like you're like, dude, she looks good in her pictures and she looked good in the scale. She looks good in this weight class. Like I wasn't even convinced she'd make the weight. She looked great at this weight. Obviously, she got a nutritionist and strength and conditioning was on point. The fight was very uncompetitive. Obviously, I think she should have got the bonus. I think the UFC was pissed that she won. They didn't give her a bonus, which is kind of sad, don't you think? Give me your thoughts on the fight, man. Nice pick, by the way. Again,
100% this happened. The UFC saw Molly fighting Blanchfield, and she got destroyed, let's be honest. And I have nothing against Molly. Let's say that first. I have nothing against Molly. And the UFC is like, we're going to put her on the London card in July. Who do we have? And then Dana asked Mick, who do we have? We have these girls. We have actually a girl who is 1-5 from bantamweight who wants to come down to flyweight. And Dana asked, who is that? Yeah, Julija Stoliarenko. Fucking do it. Put her against Molly. Let's do it, And after that, we cut her, and Molly has a win and she can go back on track again. Let's fucking do it. Without even thinking about the strength that Julija actually has. The only strength pretty much what Julija has is her physics and is her armbar, her jiu-jitsu, And those are the weaknesses of Molly pretty much. Definitely the jiu-jitsu, So they match her up. The moment I saw Julija on the scale, on Friday, I knew Molly was fucked, because Julija looked healthy, good, clean, nothing wrong with her, and she was much bigger than Molly. She looked a weight class above her, and Molly's now dropping to 115, by the way, but she looked much bigger than Molly. Coming into the cage, I think the striking was pretty even. I think even Stoliarenko hit her even more than McCann hit her. And when it came to the ground, it was game over, dude. It was within 20, 30 seconds, it was done, So I think the UFC made a huge mistake by this booking, I think they look too much on records and not on styles make fights, And for Julija, I'm happy for her. She probably saved her job here with the UFC. But yeah, I feel like the UFC was like really sad about it because they didn't give her 50K. I think she deserved it. And you saw also I don't know if you saw the replay of it. You saw Mick Maynard with Dean Thomas cage side at the moment, and you saw Mick Maynard looking like fuck. What?
No, I didn't see that actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't really, but you saw like in his face was a little bit. He didn't show it, but you saw a little bit in his face like, fuck, we did.
Is Mick the matchmaker for that division, or is it Sean?
I think Mick is the matchmaker for the women.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why the women's fights are always like booked quicker because Mick works quicker than Sean. What I'm hearing,
I've heard good things too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Julija. What does it say for Julija and Molly? For Molly, I mean, I think the UFC should stop hyping up somebody who and there's no hit at Molly before I get heckled by people. They should stop trying to hype a fighter up who is never going to be at the top of the game, And Molly, I know she is at some places in England. She's very popular, and not everywhere because I heard a lot of fans as well who are not really a fan of Molly or whatever. But you got to give her. You don't have to put her in a co-main event. You know what I mean? I mean, main event, co-main event should be for fighters who are actually making a run to the top, or either are top fighters, in my opinion. Also on fight nights. So do the prospect, I have no problem on a fight night. Right. And people will say that we're worse main events or co-main events. Listen, if it's a short notice main event, co-main event, I'm not going to say anything about it. But that was a planned main event, co-main event, a planned co-main event. And you can never justify putting a co-main event with a local favorite against a 1-5 opponent in the UFC, and that 1-5 opponent wins against a local favorite. You can never justify doing that.
Oh man, yeah. No, I mean, like I like McCann. The fight was wrong with this one. Good pick. Let's get some comments here. Joe also cuts this here. Oh, you got another birthday wish here. Can UFC re-sign Justin Willis or Sakai? No, those guys are not UFC caliber. Their gang is terrible. How many fights? Hey, Grateful Dude. How many fights does Molly have left? Well, she just announced. I was going to mention this. She just announced she's dropping to 115. Mm-hmm. So I read her post. She's taking absolutely no accountability for the loss. She's just like, oh, it's because of the size difference. It's like, I don't know. Like, you don't have a ground game at all. She's never had a ground game. She has a purple belt. How does she have a purple belt, dude? She looked like a fish out of water on the ground. Both the last two fights. Like, remember the Blanchfield fight? That Blanchfield fight really never made sense to me. It was like the UFC threw it to the lambs, the lamb to the slaughter. But why though? Like, they built her up with those crazy knockouts, right? And then they're like, all right, we're gonna fight the division's best prospect, who's amazing on the ground. Like, it never made sense, right?
It didn't make sense to you. It didn't make sense to me. But did they maybe really think that Molly had a chance against Blanchfield? In my opinion, never. When that fight got booked, and you said the same to me, we were in James's Discord chat. I remember we were talking to each other about it. We're like, "What the fuck, dude? You know what are they thinking here? You know?" And yeah, we were right. You know, I think everybody could call that. And also, everybody's like, huge upset. It was a huge upset for people in England that had pretty much the idea. I mean, you also, yeah, listen, you picked Molly McCann, but you also knew that if Julija could get it to the ground in the first round, as she got it in her jiu-jitsu game, that she would be able to finish Molly. You know, it was not like you didn't think it couldn't happen. You know what I mean? So, and it happens, you know. And for Molly, listen, man, nothing against Molly again, because I sound like a giant Molly hater, which I'm not, but I just don't like fake hype, you know. I really don't like it. I think fighters should be hyped to listen. The Tom Aspinall hype is legit, you know. I love it because he is really good. He's a big talent, you know. But Molly is like not even top 15 caliber in my opinion, you know. And outside, she can make it competitive with some girls outside who doesn't have a certain specialty like a good ground game. She got beat by Blanchfield on the ground. She got beat by Stoliarenko on the ground. In her debut, she got destroyed by Robertson on the ground. I remember Jillian Robertson.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are certain girls like a Hannah Goldie. She can hang with her for sure. Luana Carolina, much of a striker. She can hang with her. Those are Belbitsa. She beat her as well. She can hang, but also with what is her name? Laura Procopio.
Yeah,
I
she
think.
beat her and then they
Yeah.
cut her.
And it was also with the ground game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she has a huge weakness in her game, and when she fights somebody who has it as a strength, she's in trouble. You know, and the UFC, if you want to put somebody in a co-main event spot to highlight her, make sure if you match her up with the right opposition. You know what I mean? And don't look at the record, because yeah, they probably did look at the record and was like, and I honestly think that the UFC was thinking as well, fuck, she comes from 135 to 125. She fainted already on the scale at 135. She's going to look horrible at 125. And when she fights Molly in the cage, she's probably not going to do well. You know what I mean? But it was completely the opposite. When I saw her on the scale, I was super confident she was going to win that fight, you know.
Give me 1 sec, Marcel. I have to come back. Let me just set up the next fight here, guys. So we had Nathaniel Wood defeating Andre Fili by decision. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Marcel, start talking about. I'll be right back.
Sure thing. So yeah, Nathaniel Wood against Andre Fili. I think it was an amazing fight, man. It was back and forth. Yeah, I feel like, listen, man, Wood, three wins in a row at featherweight after a loss at bantamweight against Casey Kenny back then. Yeah, good win for him. You know, I think it was a close fight. Could have gone either way, in my opinion. I think I scored, let me think. I think I scored the first round for Wood, second round Fili, third round I scored originally for Fili, but then I watched it back and I scored it for Wood. So, yeah, close fight, fun one. Could have been fight of the night, in my opinion. I think either that one of Parsons Roberts would do. Yeah, great fight, man. And good for Wood to win in front of his home country. And maybe we can see that Lerone Murphy fight, which is still bubbling somewhere. We can see that one. So, yeah, good one. And looking forward to it, man. I mean, it was a great fight. And could have been fight of the night. But, yeah, wasn't fight of the night. But at least a good showing for both guys, I think. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I had to say about it. So,
sorry, guys. My dog got scared because there's like a lightning storm outside.
No problem, dude.
Poor little dog. All right.
Wood Fili, I just talked about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. That's where we were. Fili's on Instagram crying about this decision. Are you fucking kidding me? You obviously lost, dude. You lost.
I tell you,
an easy fight to score. He lost 2-1.
Originally I scored a 2 and 3 for him, but then I looked back and I scored 1 and 3 for Wood.
Bro,
so
there's no way. Come on.
Yeah, I looked it back, but you gotta remember I'm working at the same time, so I'm doing a lot of things in between. So I wasn't paying too much close attention at that one. But I looked it back, yeah, clear 29-28 for Wood.
I mean, it was competitive, but he won the fight. It wasn't, it was close but clear, as I like to say, right?
Yeah.
It was a good fight. Like, could it have won fight that I could have, but I think that the first 2 rounds were the best 2 rounds of the card, but the third round was bad. You know, it's Fili's fault. He did nothing. People that had a Fili ticket, that must suck, because you had a guy that second round with those knees, that knees from the clinch were absolutely brutal, and I thought Wood was done. So good for Wood. I think at 135 he's done. He's done there at 135, but at 145 he's able to take a little bit more punishment, right?
Want to see that Murphy fight?
Yeah, why not? They were supposed to fight in 286, right? Earlier
March,
this year.
yeah.
I think it makes sense. They both won in the card. Just really quick, Marcel, before we move on.
Yeah.
Just comments, guys. I apologize for let's go through these comments. Where did I? Okay, here we go. I think Julia's best friends with Ricci. Yeah, they're good friends for sure. The placement put a lot of pressure on Molly. It's true. What were the odds of Stoliarenko armbar? I'm not sure. I mean, submission was like plus 500. I want to say something like that. I mean, that was her way to win too. Marcus says you regret not betting. I mean, come on, Marcus. Like, you're not going to win every underdog pick. If you were so confident, you would have bet on her, man. It wasn't like it was Pantoja where you put, 10 large on or whatever it was.
Actually, it's funny because that Molly said she goes to 115 because I think 2 hours earlier I sent you a clip of Tabata Ricci where she had that where she was using that flying, what was it, flying triangle. I was like, now you have Molly's next fight just for fun, and now Molly goes to 115 so they actually can make that fight, but it's not going to happen, guys. I was just kidding to Adam when we talk about it. So
no worries. A couple other comments. Adam, next year you say Paul Craig, right? Is that right? I'll do it better when we get to his fight next.
Actually, funny thing is like the Eurosport, Discovery Plus, and TNT Sports are with each other. So the guy from TNT Sport was interviewing Paul. He's like, Paul Craig, welcome here. And then Paul is like, yeah, man, Craig, I like how you pronounce that name, Paul Craig.
He loved it. He'd love me if I interviewed him because I work on it.
Yeah.
Pado was saying Maynard's the women's matchmaker.
Yeah. Yes.
Paul, how's your birthday?
Yeah, great. Thank you, man, for asking. Great birthday, man. Always fun.
That's what the does. Sorry to cut you off. But Connor laid out the blueprint. Now he's gone. They need to recreate him. I guess, yeah. Do you think Molly's loss makes Aaron's win over her not that good anymore? I would say so, but because we saw her destroy on draws, it doesn't matter. We know how good she is now. So Molly's managed by Boylan is awful. Just say yes.
Listen, man. The thing is, like, it's the same with what's this guy's name now? Josh Hardwick, the Cage Warriors champion, who has to fight Abdul Karim Al Salwadi at the main event of week 2 of the Contender Series to get in the UFC. He probably gets a 10-10 contract. And it's true, It's kind of true because, like, when Paddy came in the UFC, he had like a 10-10 contract when he came. It's difficult, You're pretty much like. You're like how do you say that? The owner of Cage Warriors or the boss, and you're also the manager of certain fighters, So
absolutely. Sorry about that. Yeah. I didn't mean to keep it on the screen so long. Yeah, Graham Boylan. He's married to former UFC, what's her name? Edith LaBelle, the former ring card girl. Yeah, the Canadian girl. Looking to bet against the hype. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I mean, I don't even know if there was hype. I just thought Julia was not good. Molly looked worse on TV than Cage shot. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Molly's hey West Coast, yeah.
Listen,
she didn't look good. Look at you guys, fresh haircuts.
Listen, I'm not gonna blame anybody picking Molly because we didn't know how Julia would look, at the moment we picked here. When we picked last week, we didn't know how Julia would look on the scale, and it was a big question mark how she would look on the scale. She looked good. I got even more confidence in my pick there, and I think. Yeah, she looked good, but we'll see, man, next who she fights, if she still looks good, at 125. Because this was just like styles make fights, and this was a perfect style matchup for Julia if you look back at it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to my boy here, Paul Craig. Gets the second TKO win over Andre Muniz. Called that shit, man. Really proud of that pick because, most people picked Muniz there, and it was nice to get a big dog. Again, Paul Craig just, don't sleep on him like I tweeted, right? Like, don't sleep on this guy. Like, he's got a ton of good wins now, man. Look at the wins he has. Muniz, top 15. Krylov's top 5, I think. Hill is former champ. Kennedy's top 15, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. And then Ankalaev is a former champ. Like, the guy is a solid fighter. And then beat Shogun, too. At the end of his career, but still, a legend. Paul Craig is the man. I thought he looked great in the scale. I saw some comments, people say, oh, man, he looks horrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, listen, I watch every weigh-in, guys. I know when a guy looks bad. Last week, Basil Hafez looked horrible, right? He almost won the fight, but he looked horrible on the scale. And then he actually talked about it last week. He was like, this was the worst weight cut in my life. I did everything I couldn't make weight. I felt sick. Paul Craig he didn't look bad at all. He looked great. This is his weight class. I don't know how many years he can fight here, but a couple of years. He can make a run right now. This is a big win. I also feel like it does make someone ask about Brendan Allen's Brendan Allen's win, it doesn't look as good. I kind of agree. I think Brendan kind of has fucked himself by not taking that main event against Roman Dolidze, who has an opponent now with Derek Brunson. Like, I don't think the UFC was happy he turned that fight down, Marcel. I'll tell you that right now. They don't. You know for a fact they don't like when the fighters turn fights down, right? We both know that. We'll see what they do with Brendan. Maybe they could do Paul Craig and Brendan Allen. That'd be a good fight too. To be honest with you, I think it'd be good. But I think Paul Craig, this is a big win for him, Marcel. It's huge. Look at bonuses the guy has too in his career. It's insane, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bonuses. It's insane. Anytime he wins, he gets a bonus, basically. The only time he didn't get a bonus for a win was when he knocked out Shogun, which is funny. But the guy's underrated, man. I'm telling you right now, guys, he is super underrated. Everyone just disrespects his game so much. I thought he looked really good in this fight. I mean, the first round obviously didn't go his way, but Muniz again is a front runner, right? He's a guy that gets tired. Remember, I was on Muniz all those fights, guys. You guys have been listening to the podcast for years. I was on in all those fights. Hall, Anders, Jacare. I picked him against them all. But after seeing him lose to Allen, I was like, I saw a huge weakness in this guy's game, and I feel like Muniz kind of lacks that heart a little bit too. A little bit. He's a bit of a front runner. I will say this though, that face-off they had before the fight, like where they both went nose to nose, Marcel, fucking amazing. I wish we saw that more. It reminded me of like Mirko Krokop or Wanderlei Silva or something from like Pride, right? I loved it. Marcel, I thought Craig looked outstanding, after that first round, obviously, and I'm curious to see what's next for him. I mean, someone's mentioning Bo Nickel. I know he talked about that fight. It'd be interesting, but I don't know. I mean, they could do that fight, but I feel like Craig should be fighting someone ranked. I think he should fight a guy in the top 15. He just beat a guy that was ranked number 14. Just looking at the guys who were booked, number 11 right there, Brendan Allen, number 10, Jack Hermanson. Those are the two guys that are not booked.
Jack Hermanson.
That would be a great fight. I think it's a great fight. And Jack's a good fighter too. So I think those guys make sense. But yeah, Craig looked outstanding. Excuse me. But he looked outstanding. All right, next fight here. This fight was pretty bad.
Can I talk about it as well?
Oh, I'm sorry, Marcel. My apologies. Sorry, guys. I got off track here when I went off for the last fight. Go ahead, Marcel.
Okay, man. I mean, no problem. Yeah, man. I feel like, listen, guys from Eurosport were at the fighters. And Craig had a tough weight cut, dude. He had a tough weight cut, but you didn't see it in the cage. He really carried it good, I think. And I'm happy for him, man. He's a good dude, He's also a guy who's really hard on himself all the time, And honestly, this is his best win in the UFC, in my opinion. And that sounds weird because he has wins over Jamal Hill, he has wins over Magomed Ankalaev, he has wins over Shogun. This is his best win, The first round was kind of competitive. I think Muniz kind of edged that round. Definitely, he got the takedown like 40 seconds before the end. Kind of pretty much sealed it for him there. Second round, man, Craig dragged him to the ground and he didn't let him go anymore. Really good performance by Paul Craig. And looking forward to what's next for him. I would put him against Jack Hermanson. He actually talked after the fight with Stefan Struve on camera. Stefan Struve did the backstage interview for us. And he is like, I like Bo Nickel, like you said, but he's also like, I want to fight Sean Strickland down the line. He's like
Craig.
Yeah, he's like Sean Strickland. I like his character. He's a fun guy. I like his style. I think we match up great. I want to fight him down the line. So I think, listen, maybe down the line, that's a fun matchup. Now, Sean Strickland is probably going to fight Israel Adesanya in September. So it's not like it's going to be quick there, or it can be quick there. But you never know. Listen, man, if Paul Craig fights Jack Hermanson and he might win that fight, and Sean loses to Israel, that's a close fight to come together, So
I have an idea. Why not just do another event in Scotland? I think they did one before, right?
Do it again against Latest, I think.
That was it, right? Do it again. Put him and Chris Duncan on the card. Maybe sign some other guys. Let him headline the card. Let him headline against Hermanson or Allen. I think that makes sense. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, for sure, man.
I think it makes sense. I agree with Marcus too. He definitely knows how to sell a fight. The Braveheart face paint, I've always loved that. Actually, I went back and watched the Jamal Hill weigh-in from 263. Fucking amazing. I actually watched it. Dana's like, and that's like huge security guard guys. They're like, no, and they're like, guys, we're good. And they did the nose to nose thing. I fucking love it. I love it. Just like you said, your ass stare down. Amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is, you got to have these guys who want to do that little bit extra, but don't go too crazy, because you have some of these guys, if that happens, they have to touch each other. Yeah, exactly. And that's not what you want. But with Paul Craig, he does it, it's kind of like he tries to taunt you, but he's respectful. He won't
Yeah.
put his hands on you. You know what
No,
I mean?
So, I thought the stare down was incredible though. Like
Yeah.
it got me really pumped. I was already pumped for the fight, especially because I had the dog there. But it was awesome.
By the way, Glenn is right. Yeah,
this was another card than
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio. Really quick on this fight. This fight sucked. I told you, why the fuck was this fight in the main card?
Yeah, man.
Dude, Faraziem wins. I picked him to win. He was actually one of the better values in the card, I would say. Like, he was like minus 170 favor or something. He won. I thought he won the first and third round. I had the second for Jai. Again, I put on Twitter, I'm like, this was a pretty close fight, guys. It could have went either way. I could have seen Herbert winning because he had all that control time. Again, damage should trump control, but sometimes the judges don't see it that way. It's the truth. Just because it says in the robot doesn't mean it actually goes that way sometimes with these judges. I thought Ziem won the fight too. What do you think?
Well, Jai did everything in that fight that he didn't have to do, a horrible fight to watch. Horrible fight. I actually said in Dutch in my recap on the Eurosport website, it's not a fight in 2 years you want to look back at with something nice to eat and on a rainy night. That's one you're going to skip. It was horrible. Let's be honest. It didn't belong on the main card. I didn't know. It wasn't on the main card at first. They put it on the main card. They changed it with 2 other fights. This fight and the fight with, let me think, Murphy Kulibao. Those 2 weren't on the main card originally. And Barbarina Muradov and Katlin Vieira against Kianzat were originally on the main card. But, I mean, you could have known from the beginning. This is like pretty much like the same how these two fight, and it was horrible. Let's talk about another fight.
Fight sucked. Leron Murphy defeats Josh Kubal. I mean, I don't think this was the most exciting fight either, but I think Murphy's a good fighter, undefeated again. I think looking back, he was maybe the best value in the card at minus 140. Like, that's a fight to unload on. I know you picked Kubal, Marcel, but I like Murphy a lot. I still like him. I think this was one of his better fights. The last fight wasn't good against Santos, but we know Santos is a really good fighter, the best 0-2 fighter in the UFC, right? Murphy looked improved. His wrestling looked a lot better. He was the guy wrestling. He also dropped Kulibao with that liver kick, which was funny because the commentators were like, it didn't even look like anything hit him, and then you could clearly see it was to the liver. Like, come on, guys. Anyways, yeah, he looked good. He won every round.
Dude, Murphy was really on point. He was really good, and I gotta listen, man. I picked Kulibao based on his last couple of performances. He looked really good, and I thought Murphy didn't look good in his last performance. But he did this time, He looked really good. I think the first round was still very competitive, but after that, completely dominance by Lerone Murphy, man. Great win for him. Happy for him. He's a good dude. Overcame a lot of adversity in his life. I think he got shot 3 times. I think he still has some parts of a bullet in his tongue. So. He's a talented guy. I like to see him against a ranked guy. Give him either Wood, who isn't ranked, but give him Wood. Or give him Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. Give him somebody in the rankings, close to the rankings. Let's see how he does. He was actually supposed to fight Nate Landwehr. I remember last year that fight didn't happen. But the thing is, can Lerone fight in the U.S. right now? Because he never fought in the U.S. before. He was lined up to fight Landwehr in the U.S., but he hasn't fought in the U.S. before. So I'm wondering if there's something there. Maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, I want to see Lerone fighting a guy in the top 15. Fuck, do Wood or do Alex Caceres. Both perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Opening up the main card. We're supposed to do the prelims, but it got moved to the main card because of time, which you talked about too. You're like, how the fuck are they going to do 9 fights in 3 hours, right? Crazy. They should have started at 11:30, but I guess it's kind of early for the people there, I guess. Anyways, Daniel Marcos wins a split decision over Davey Grant. I didn't agree with the decision. I had Davey Grant winning. I think it was the first and third round. Davey Grant outstruck him in all the rounds according to the stats. Here's the thing, okay? So I've had Davey Grant. You guys know I picked Davey Grant. I think Marcel did too. You guys know I fucking love Davey Grant. You guys are
me too.
Okay? So I'll just say that. And I had the same scorecard as Anders Olsen, which was first and third. Second was close too, don't get me wrong, but he did cause a lot of damage. That cut is damaging, and Davey's face was marked up pretty bad. I get visual damage isn't the only type of damage, but I think that round you give to him. My problem is the first round, giving it to Marcos. He just didn't do enough in that round. Davey Grant did more. He landed more volume. And in a round where not much happened, the guy that lands a bit more volume should probably win it. That being said, Marcel, I don't think this fight was a robbery. A lot of people are crying robbery. They're really angry about it. I don't think so. I think it was super close, guys, personally. I did think Davey Grant won the fight. I scored for him. It's crazy. Actually, went on Twitter was like, I think Grant won the fight. I just think it's not a robbery. It was pretty close. And this guy went after me saying, you don't know how to score fights, dude. I'm like, dude, I fucking scored it for Grant. Like, I'm not the judge sitting cage side, dude. I'm just some guy in his computer tweeting about the fights, okay? And I still scored it for Grant. I'm just saying I could see why they scored for the other guy because not a lot was done that first round, but I still think a good trained judge would have scored it for Grant. But I can still see that it was competitive and it wasn't obvious. It was 16-13 in strikes. 16-13, okay? All stand up. There was no grappling at all. I don't agree with it. Like I said, I thought Grant won it, but and I had a Grant ticket. I'm just saying I've seen way worse decisions personally. I'm not trying to normalize bad decisions, guys. You know I fucking hate these judges. They're the worst people ever. They screw so many people. They screwed over Davey Grant. Really, they really did. You know, he should have got that victory speech in front of his crowd, but it is what it is, man. I just think it was a little bit too close for comfort, personally. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this fight, Marcel.
People get so upset when you give your opinion about something, man. That's so weird.
Again, I scored it for Grant, and they still got angry at me, which doesn't make sense. It's like,
man, get angry at the judges, not at us. You know what I mean? We have zero influence. We are just one voice, and that's it. We just give our thoughts. Exactly. Yeah, I think Grant won the fight as well. In my opinion. Was it a robbery? No, probably. I don't think it was a really robbery, but listen, man, there are fights where are robberies and there are fights where the wrong guy won, and I think here the wrong guy won. It sucks for Grant. You think like in a close fight or probably a close fight, normally it goes to the home guy. At this time it goes to the guy who is not from England, who actually this time Grant deserved the fight. Great fight. I thought it was a fun fight to watch. The funny thing is actually, my colleagues told me when they went home to the hotel, Grant was in the metro, or how do you say that? The metro, you say that, you guys, right? And the London metro. So he didn't
the metro. Yeah,
the metro. Okay, metro.
The subway, right? The subway.
Yeah, the subway. Yeah, he was at the subway. So he didn't came with expensive car or whatever. He came with the fucking subway with his friends. We went back home. So they were like, what the fuck? We have like a fighter who goes with the subway back home. That's crazy, So, yeah, man, it sucked for Grant, finally in front of his home crowd and then losing a split decision. But, didn't lose a lot of stock to me, in my opinion.
I agree. I'm looking at the comments, guys, and it's kind of a mix. Some people are saying no robbery, and some are saying it was. I get it. Again, I had a ticket on him, so it sucked. Glenn says that most of the fans scored for Grant. Yeah, I mean, he should have won the fight, guys. I don't know. I thought he won the fight, but it wasn't one where I freaked out about because I just feel it was a little bit too close for comfort. I don't know. But, yeah, Marcos is overrated, though. I mean, we talked about it. Like, he shouldn't have been favored. It was super disrespectful. I know he won, but he should have never been favored to win the fight. That's kind of nuts. Pato, I just want to stick to this card. We only have 15 minutes left, so I'll save the other questions for after, man. Johnny Parsons defeats Danny Roberts, second round TKO. Great win for Johnny Parsons' debut. I think the stoppage was really good, too, by Jason Herzog. I watched it back, and, man, like, he was completely out of it. He got dropped a couple of times there. Great win for Johnny Parsons, the slugger, not Marcel. Probably it for Danny Roberts. I'd imagine he retires after this one, or it gets cut, at least. Maybe he'll fight in Cage Warriors again or something. I don't know, but like I don't think he's UFC caliber because his chin is not there anymore, right? That's the problem. Still a very skilled guy, but the chin's gone. Yeah. By the way, did you find the scorecard for this fight? Because I didn't see it on UFC News. I looked, and I wanted to know who won the first round. I wasn't sure.
I'm going to check it for you when you talk next.
Sure.
No, I didn't. I mean, Danny Roberts, pretty much like Jai Herbert, does everything he didn't have to do in this fight, Don't get in a war with Johnny fucking Parsons, the Sluggernut, This nickname already said it, the Sluggernut. Don't go with him in a slugfest, And he went toe-to-toe with him, got wobbled a couple of times, then looked that he came back, and then Johnny finished him. Some people were complaining about, how do you say that, stoppage 2 seconds before the fight or around that, but that shouldn't matter, The referee should.
That doesn't matter at all. The time doesn't matter to the referee.
No, the referee shouldn't look at the time. He should look at the fight, and when he thinks I have to stop it, I stop it, even if it's 1 second, 1 minute.
And we've seen fights end with 1 second left, right?
I mean, Carano against Cyborg is probably
is it Paul Craig and what's it called, Ankalaev?
Yeah, but that was a submission. So
Leon Edwards and Peter Sabata. That was last second, same card, which is crazy. But yeah. Demetrius Johnson was last second, but the submission, right? But yeah, with your
so that doesn't make sense when it is. I think it was a good stoppage, good one for Johnny Parsons. I think he called out Paddy Pimblett afterwards for his ridiculous haircut. I thought that was funny because Johnny Parsons has a pretty a different haircut himself as well. That mullet.
He called out Michael Page too. Actually, he said that he was
he
really like nervous and didn't know what to say. But
said,
that's what he said later in the.
Yeah, he said it to Stefan Struve as well, that he actually wants Michael Page. So yeah,
I think that'd be a great fight. I think that'd be an awesome fight. I mean, this is a Muay Thai fighter, right? And if you're going to bring Page in the UFC and sign him to, he's going to get paid a lot of money, obviously. Give him a fight that's, striker based, right? Don't give him a wrestler. I really hope they don't give him a wrestler. Fight Talk, by the way, he says happy birthday. Appreciate the artwork as always, my friend. He always does the artwork for us every week. We appreciate that, brother. Grant's caught mentioned the minute bleeding. I kind of agree. It is a bad optics for the judges. That second round was competitive. The third round was Grant. My problem is the first round. Again, like it was close, but I still think a really good judge would get it right. I think they would score it for Grant. Personally. Anyways, next fight here. Get your thoughts on this one. Joel Alvarez defeats Mark Diakiese. Submission. Listen, Mark was looking good in this fight. He made some really stupid mistake in the second, like near the end of the second round, and I'm like, oh shit, like because for his sake, I'm like, oh shit, because I picked Alvarez, right? But I'm like, because you leave yourself in that position where you're like, defending the takedown against a guy who had a Darce choke, and then obviously there was a clash of heads, right? And the referee, who was the ref? It was Daniel Moavetti.
Moavetti, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, hey man, he just clashed my head, and he's like, no, fight, and we saw him replay.
What's that Goddard?
Who?
What's that Goddard?
It says Daniel Moavetti.
Oh, then I'm wrong.
On UFC stats. That's what it says. Maybe it's wrong, but yeah.
Let me see.
I'm pretty sure it is. And check the scorecard if you can for that last fight.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, guys, like you all saw the fight. There was a clash of heads. Yeah, the fight should have been stopped. Two judges gave Roberts one round. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. But it was competitive. Anyways, Glenn said it there. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, like I think he got screwed. I'll just say that right now. I think that there's something wrong with this sport. There's something fucking wrong with the sport because it's 2023 and you don't have fucking instant replay. Why? Like, why not? Every other fucking sport is instant replay, including MMA, but not every commission, every country does. There's no reason why there wasn't an instant replay used. I hope this is the fight that like lets like the England commission or whoever. Is it the UFC doing it when they go to England? I don't even know. They might do it themselves. I think it is, right? Because Mark Ratner's there doing the weigh-ins. So I think the UFC has a say in this. This is fucking egregious to me. This is bullshit. DKC should absolutely appeal this, Marcel. He absolutely needs to appeal this. He was hurt from a clash of heads. It was an accidental clash of heads. This wasn't on purpose, but he got hurt from it. And to me, the fight should have been stopped, and it should have been a no contest because it was just like, remember Kevin Holland and Kyle Dawkins?
Yeah,
right.
Course.
And they went to replay. They need to have replay in every state, every jurisdiction, every country. It's 2023. I think it's a fucking shame that this guy lost the fight because it was, through an illegal shot. It was an accident, though. It wasn't. There's another guy in the card that landed an intentional headbutt. I'll talk about him in a second. Remember, guys, and I always like to talk about this. There's two things. There's an accidental clash of heads. That's an accident. That's where both guys are moving in and they hit each other in the head. And then there's a headbutt. A headbutt's an illegal move that's a foul that should be deducted a point or at least, given the position change. This case, I think it was an accident, but it still happened and led directly to the finish. So I think it should have been a no contest. I hope this guy appeals and he should get a no contest out of this. But again, I don't know if they can even appeal. If there's no replay used, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's bullshit, though. What do you think, man?
I agree with you. By the way, I sent you the picture of the scorecard that you asked for.
Yeah, Glenn already said in the chat you were too slow, bro.
So that's more time. Yeah, man. I mean, I think Diakiese did well at first, and then Alvarez kind of took over. But that clash of heads had a big impact on the finish, of course, and I feel bad for Diakiese, but I was happy that Alvarez got a win finally. But the way it went, obviously not the right way. And I'm fully with you, man. Diakiese should definitely appeal. It won't do any difference, but he should appeal here. I agree with you. It's like, I think it was stupid, man. The referee clearly could see it. He was actually on the right side to see it. So it's weird that he didn't. How do you say that?
What? Appeal it or
no? Didn't saw it.
Oh, he didn't see it. Yeah. Didn't
he was like, didn't recognize it. Exactly. That's the right word. So That was really weird to me, but wasn't the first time that night Moffahedi did something weird. So yeah, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, no, I just didn't agree. Let me get some comments here, guys. Got another happy birthday here from your boy, Juan.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Couple of comments here. Hard to see in real time. Fair enough, but that's why they need replay because you would have seen it. Yeah, he's baseball. Every sport, guys. Every sport. Basketball, hockey, football. Football uses 100 times a game. Basketball, hockey, football. Even MMA does. What am I talking about? MMA has replay, but it's only in like Vegas. It's stupid. Glenn, they need to. Yeah, exactly. It's the UFC. It is their fault. It is their fault. Why would they not write into the rules? We should use instant replay on stuff like this. So I think it's their fault. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this. The Muniz headbutt on Paul Craig was a foul, and I think the position was given back. But I think, dude, it should just be a point deduction. Fuck this nonsense. Like seriously, Marcel, I'm so tired of these guys getting away with so many illegal moves. It's just a joke. There's another fight we're going to talk about in a second here. That same thing happened. I'm not sure if they did. There's no replay or didn't review it. No, I think there was no replay because they said that they're like, oh, the refs are looking at it outside the cage, but there's just nothing they could do. And the fact that the commentators don't know either is really concerning to me. Like, no one knows. Like, it's just concerning, guys, honestly. We should all know this. Like, I don't know. I know MMA is like a new sport, but it's still been around for 30 years. And again, there's still replay available in other places, right? So, yeah. Let's go to the next fight here. This one's, I don't want to talk about this too much. Mick Parkin defeats Jamal Pogues. I thought this fight was not very good. Mick Parkin's a good prospect, but the fight was pretty bad. Jamal Pogues was terrible. Any thoughts?
Yeah, man. Jamal Pogues looks like a light heavyweight who's fighting at heavyweight, who doesn't want to cut to light heavyweight. It's like I was on the Dutch podcast earlier today, and he's like he's pretty much like me, way out of shape. I mean, look bad, look crazy
really
bad. For Mick Parkin. Yeah, good debut, but let's see him against somebody who is an actual heavyweight and not heavy because he doesn't want to cut weight, Yeah, that's how I pretty much see it. And I'm happy for Parkin, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's good for him to get his first fight in the UFC, get a win in front of his home crowd. But I want to see how he does further in this UFC tenure, man.
Yeah, the fight was pretty bad. Next fight. This was a bad pick by me, let's be honest. But I told you, like, my plan was to bet on Barberena and Craig, and then I hope one of them wins, and one of them did win. So ultimately, like, it worked out, but it wasn't my best pick, obviously, Marcel, because this was pretty one-sided, obviously, for Makhmud Muradov. 13 takedowns, like, that's insane. And then 2 knockdowns, too. Barberena is super tough, obviously. He looked really bad in this fight, Marcel Barberena. I mean, he looked terrible. I know he's your guy and everything, but he looks awful at middleweight. Just looks undersized, looks chubby, just doesn't look like he belongs in this weight class. The only one thing I wanted to mention was that headbutt. That's an intentional headbutt. That should be a point deduction. At the very least, the fight should be stood up. The referee was Mark Goddard. I'm shocked Goddard didn't do that. Goddard's a good ref. We've talked about him in the podcast. He is one of the better refs, I think, in most part. Marcel, we all know the rules. They're told it a million times in the back. You can all read the rule book online. Everyone knows the rules. And I think because if you watch it, man, he went bang. That's a headbutt, dude. That is a point deduction. That's a damaging shot. It wouldn't have changed the outcome of the fight, but I just feel like that stuff needs to be policed better. I was disappointed by Goddard's refereeing in this particular fight. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, and Muradov knew it. He was like trying to look to Brian 3 times. He was like, yeah, I'm sorry. He knew he was wrong there, And I kind of talked to Brian afterwards. I was like, yeah, of course. I'm like, yeah, sorry you lost, dude. But yeah, he's like, yeah. I was kind of upset with the referee by giving Muradov the position back after blatant headbutt. And he's like, yeah, man. I was like, why does he get the position back? It's like because Goddard thought it was like unintentional, but it was clearly intentional.
It was an intentional headbutt. You can watch the replay.
It was definitely, but Goddard thought it was unintentional, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was definitely intentional. It was 100% intentional.
I'm glad you agree with me. I mean, I just think a headbutt's it's a dirty move in MMA. I mean, this isn't Pride from 2000 where Mark Coleman's headbutting guys and then you can do the head after. Yeah, this was I didn't agree with this one.
The third time the clash of heads were not intentional. The third time wasn't intentional, but in the third round, I mean, but
the third round. That was a pure accident. They both got damaged again.
Yeah,
dude, trust me. You hit someone with the crown of your head, it hurts. It fucking hurts.
Doctor, another doctor.
You gotta have 2 doctors there. Yeah. Anyways, Muradov looked good, and he's definitely a good fighter. There's no doubt. All right, Ketlin Vieira defeats Penny Kanza. Really shit fight. She won the first 2 rounds by doing nothing again. 15 strikes landed, but 10 minutes of control time. Once again, just laying on top of her opponent. She'll never get a title shot fighting this way. Never. Okay? Absolutely never. And with Kianzad, I mean, too little, too late, right? She won the 3rd round, but came back way too late. I mean, listen, man, I told you this fight would be close. It was, but yeah, I mean, the judges got it right. I just think Ketlin's game is so boring. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man. That wasn't a sexy scramble by Penny, but yeah, I mean, Catlin did what she had to do in the first 2 rounds, and she got the decision based on those 2. I think the 3rd round she did well in the beginning. Then she got turned around, and Penny had some damage, and that gave her the 3rd round. Yeah, it's like, it wasn't the greatest fight, but a clear win for Catlin. Good for her, but she ain't getting a title fight based on that. Definitely not.
Not even close.
Nah,
not even close.
It was just not a good fight. It was not a fun fight to watch, and yeah, I mean, well done by Catlin. Gotta say it. Smart game plan in the first 2 rounds, but it's not a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, I just want to comment on this too. Juan's talking about Muradov. It wasn't intentional. It was clear winning. Why would you do that, dude? I mean, we've seen guys do that. Look at Michel Pereira against Diego Sanchez. He was winning the fight, and he kneed him in the head. It happens. You just got to be in control of your weapons, including your head. Again, it didn't change the outcome of the fight, so it's not like it. It's not like a headbutt left led to like a finish. But that's why I'm more pissed. Honestly, I'm way more pissed about the DKC one, Marcel, because that is
that actually influenced the
finish, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Prior to being knocked out, told Dawn I thought Kel was a future title contender. She's good. She has 8 wins in the UFC, or 7 or by decision. Weakest bantamweight. Yeah, Pena. I don't like her, but at least she kind of talks some shit. I think Buena Silva is interesting because she's good.
Did you saw that graphic
for
Buena Silva?
Oh, with the arms.
Ah, was sick, man.
Yeah, I've seen that before. She's funny, dude. I like her. All right, couple more fights here. Chris Duncan defeats Yanel Ashmouz. Yanel is a fucking tough dude, man, because he broke his arm with that kick in the first round and toughed it out for 3 rounds. Took a lot of damage in the fight. The fight was, pretty one-sided, I would say, for the most part. Duncan is 2-0 now in the UFC. I don't think he's great, man, but like he's well-rounded. I'll give him that, right? Yeah, he clearly won the fight, right? So, anything else to say about this one?
Yeah, good pick by you, man. You were on Duncan. I wasn't. But yeah, Ashmus was like compromised after 1 round, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I think Duncan looked good, really pushed the pace. Could push the pace, obviously. It was a 1-arm fighter he was fighting against, but still, he looked good in the first round before that happened as well.
Yeah.
So all credits to Chris Duncan. I'm happy for him. And I feel like he's like improving every time we see him in the cage. So yeah, good for him, man. And he's a good dude as well.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like I got this comment, something just came to my head. He said Derek Lewis and Joe Rogan experienced kicking doing the balls half time to rest. This happens sometimes. And it actually happened on this card, and I forgot about it. It happened in the Marcos and Grant fight. This happened in the Marcos because Grant had a lot of momentum, Marcel, and that groin kick stopped the fight for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And when they came back, Marcos had tons of energy, and I think he won back the round. So he cheated, but it won him the fight. It's crazy, right? Isn't it crazy, man?
Yeah, it is. And you see it more often, And it's like the first foul, normally the referees don't give a point deduction for it. So you can come away with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Looks like Joel's going to win anyways. Probably, but I think the fight would have been tied, right? Didn't Mark win the first round? I think he did, right? Diakese?
I think he did. Not sure.
Yeah, it would have been 1-1 probably.
Yeah.
I like Myra Bueno Silva too. She's fucking jokes, dude. Bruna Brazil win over Shauna Bannon. Fight sucked. I was totally wrong with Bannon. Not UFC ready at all. Bad pick by me here. The experience, obviously, Brazil played the factor, I think. Bannon looked really bad. Conor McGregor's on Twitter saying she won 29-28. Come on. I thought she lost every round. I mean, I'm really surprised 2 judges found a round for, including Mike Bell, who we love on the podcast here. One of the best judges, probably the best. I don't understand how he even gave her the round. But yeah.
He gave her the second, I think, right?
It just wasn't a good fight.
I mean, the third was possible, in my opinion, but the second was bad,
Yeah. The fight was terrible, Marcel, right? Yeah. Wasn't it bad?
Yeah, it was bad because, listen, man, one girl got a lot of hype with her, the Shauna Bannon girl, but she just didn't perform at all. And Brazil was pretty much picking her shots, and she did pretty well, And I think Brazil was really like banking on getting that first win in the UFC after getting destroyed by Denise Gomez last time out, So I was happy for Brazil that she got that win. A win for Brazil. So, yeah, good for her.
Absolutely. And there's a couple comments here about cheating and stuff. I agree with what you guys are saying. Tactical cheating is a good strategy. I mean, if they're not going to penalize you, why not, right? Like
Mike Hack always says it. If you can't cheat, fucking cheat. If
you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? Exactly. Yeah. That famous quote. Yeah, the spinning the mouthpiece. That is a foul, but we've seen it happen. Sometimes they don't call it like a foul, right? They're just going to let the guy put his mouthpiece back in. Last fight here, the first fight in the card, one of the best fights in the card. It's a kind of a shame this guy didn't get a bonus because I thought it was a great fight.
Oh, yeah.
Jafel Filho submits Daniel Beres after they both went toe-to-toe for like the first 3 minutes, just slugging bombs. Filho got dropped. These body punches were just absolutely brutal by Beres. But again, Filho, great ground game, Marcel. We saw him. He almost submitted Muhammad Makayev. Now he goes in there, submits Beres. It's not really a surprise to me. That was my pick in the survivor pool, Marcel, so I moved on to this week. I like Filho. What do you think about him, man?
I think you look really good, man. I picked him as well. Yeah, but man, I gotta say, Danny Barras looked good in the beginning, dude.
Like really 2 minutes, but yeah,
yeah, but still, he looked good in the beginning. And the fight was barely 2.5. I think Bruce said 1 minute 14 seconds, and then it was 3 minutes something.
3:26, 3:26. Yeah,
but he said 1 minute something, and I was like, this was longer than a minute, Yeah, fun fight. First fight of the night, 125. Yeah, good comeback for Filho as far as you can call it a comeback after 2 minutes. But yeah, well done by him, And he said, Stefan Struve interviewed him as well. He's like, England of London becoming like my second home. And yeah, good for him. Happy for him after after getting finished by Mokaev, almost finishing Mokaev, now getting the win in London. Good for him. He's a talented guy, man. I like to see more of him. But so I think Barras is also a fun fighter. So yeah.
Your overall thoughts on the card, like out of 10, what was your overall rating?
I go a 7. I think a good 7. I'm never go like extremely high unless it's like a nuts card,
Like 290 if you.
Yeah, that was a nuts card. That was like the biggest card of the year.
And it delivered, right?
It fucking delivered,
Yeah. I think I'd go between a 6 and a 7 for this one, guys. To be honest with you, like I was really hyped for this card. To be honest, I was very hyped. I actually convinced our boy Paul Torkington. I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but I convinced him to go, and he went. And I think overall it was a decent card, but I just feel like there was a lot of bad fights too, on the prelims. And that Ziem and Herbert fight was a real fucking snoozer. But you had some great fights like Craig, the main event, the Wood and Feely, Parsons Roberts. So I guess, yeah, I mean, 7's fair. 6.5 for me. Like, I think the highlights were really good, but there were some lowlights on this card too. It wasn't the most like well-rounded card, I guess you could say. There were some like really high points and some really like low points in my opinion. Like there were some fights that I would never watch again. There's probably like 5 or 6 fights in this card, Marcel. Like I would never watch the Park and Pokes fight, Vieira Kanza, Duncan Ash. Duncan Ash was okay, I guess. Brazil Bannon I wouldn't watch again. I wouldn't watch Ziem Herbert. Yeah, I mean even Murdov fight was okay, I guess. But like the point is, like, I don't usually say that. Usually, like, there's maybe 1 or 2 fights. I know there's 15, so that plays a factor. But overall, like, a decent card, but not. I don't think it was great. And, you also saw the fans. They didn't turn out as much as that one last year. So they expect, some bigger names next time. We'll see what they do. I heard Manchester. I think that's what they were saying for the next England card. So that'd be interesting. Got another happy birthday here, Marcel. There you go.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Nearly 3,000 empty seats. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, they priced them pretty high. I want to get this. I knew this question was coming, Marcus, by the way. I was about to answer, and then I see it in the chat here. Whose stock dropped the most?
Molly.
I mean, it's not even, it's honestly, Marcus, you can answer that yourself. I would say McCann, but other than her, I mean, I would probably go with Muniz, right? Would you go with Muniz?
Muniz, I think Muniz's stock was already dropped, and if it wasn't dropped, it dropped now. The thing is, Molly never had really stuck, in my opinion, but for a lot of people, she had. So her stock dropped. Tybura was never supposed to win against Aspinall, so that's not one.
What about Pokes? He was a favorite and looked like shit. What about him?
Yeah, I never was really high on Pokes, and I think it's really personal who you're high on and who you're not high on. I think for me, Koulibaly's stock dropped a lot as well.
He didn't look good in this fight at all. No, he didn't look good. Even Jai didn't look good, but I didn't expect much either, right? So I think the answer is obvious. The obvious answer is McCann and probably Muniz, but there's a few other people you can go with. But there's a lot of fighters the stock went up too. Actually, I also feel like Daniel Marcos' stock went down a bit. He was favored to beat David Grant in England, and he didn't deserve to win the fight. So I think his stock went down a bit. Colby and Leon would have been perfect. Yeah, that would have been great, but Leon didn't want to fight in England for some reason. I don't know why. It was kind of weird.
They didn't give him the money he wanted.
That's what it is.
He think Colby didn't deserve to fight him. So he said, if you want to have me fight him in July already, fucking give me the paycheck I want. And the UFC was like, yeah, then we make it a fight night, and we go to. They had a deal with Salt Lake City, and then we're gonna do a pay-per-view at Salt Lake City. They're gonna do that yearly now. So, that's pretty much it. And now they're probably going to book it for New York, I guess, co-main event after Joe's Miocic. And that makes sense. That's a fun fight. I think that card is going to be sick as well in New York, man, from certain things I'm hearing. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I think there are going to be a lot of fun fights coming up, man, and looking forward to it. There's so many things we can see next. So, yeah.
Couple other comments. We're going to get out of here because we're going to start the next podcast, guys. I just want to get these last couple comments. Pat always asks us a lot of questions. Out of respect, I'll answer them.
Yeah, no problem.
Any update on the Lazy King? I don't know. I mean, Buckley wants that fight, right? So
he's a great fighter, man. And the UFC should really give him a chance in France. I mean, they signed Yanis Jamouri to fight Colin Loughran in France, and he's also he's a French Algerian, I think. Why not giving Abdulragimov his chance?
They'll give him a fight. They'll sign him.
He has so many fans, dude, and he's a solid dude.
It could be a money thing. Maybe he wants more than are they offering him 12-12? He won't take 12-12, right?
I don't know.
Maybe what's he going to get? 20-20? He's even going to take that? Maybe he wants 50-50. I don't know. I'd imagine it's a money thing at this point because
I think he just wants to be in the UFC, man. That's
then he's going to have to take 10-10 or 12-12. Then probably UFC, you fight cheap, right?
Do you think he makes more at Aris?
I don't know what he makes there. I have no idea.
I don't either.
I have no clue. I don't know about sponsorships there either. I really have no clue. I don't know. Same with Gamrot, why they keep him on the sidelines. I don't know what's going on with him. He beat Turner, right, in his last fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
By split. Muniz went from beating Hall, getting top 10, getting finished twice in a row. Yeah, he's a front runner. And to be honest, that Hall fight was not very impressive.
It wasn't.
Exactly. That's where I was kind of like, maybe this guy's not as good as I thought at first. A News on 293 goes on sale in 24 hours. I mean, I'd imagine they're going to announce Adesanya versus Strickland tomorrow, right, or whatever. So.
Maybe even tonight. I wouldn't be surprised.
So you have some inside information. There you go.
No.
Oh,
I don't have.
Lies.
No, not lies at all. But that's what they're probably working on. Adesanya against Strickland because Strickland can do it. And the thing is, the UFC just fucked up here. They made
the fight so close to
yeah.
Stupid. Anyways, whatever. I agree with you. That's why the podcast is my favorite breakdown of fights to answer questions. Of course, man. We don't charge you $5 to answer the questions. I'm like certain podcast hosts, which is insane to me. Like we're all on the same level. We're all fans of the sport. People that charge you money for questions.
That's also the thing on Twitter, man. You have these big shots.
Subscribe or whatever.
Yeah, not just that, but just don't answering questions. Just general legit
They're
questions.
so cocky, dude. It's insane.
I always listen. If I don't answer your question, there are two reasons why not. One, I didn't see it, or two, I don't know the answer on it. And I hate to say to everybody, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I get it.
I sound like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Imagine you charge them $5 to answer a question.
I would never. Everybody to me is equal. So if you ask me a question, you get the answer back if I can answer your question.
That's why we love Marcel, the birthday boy here. Just a couple comments we'll get out.
But for example, one more thing.
Yeah.
I got a lot of birthday wishes on Twitter. I just like them because if I can comment on it,
I know.
the whole feed is full. I don't want to do that. But I appreciate everybody, guys. Thank you so much.
Crowd seemed dead a little bit. Yeah, I mean, they didn't sell it out, right? Boring fight. I believe UFC didn't give me an easy rank. Probably. Anyways, I think that's good for this card. So we just finished the UFC London recap, guys, and hope you enjoyed it. Now we're going to get to UFC 291. I can't wait to talk about this card. This card's fucking awesome. I know we lost a few fights the last few weeks, but it's still a really good card with 12 fights. So I'm just finishing up here, Marcel. Also, what is this fight talk only? What the heck is this? I've seen you tweet about it, and I have no idea what it means, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like McConnell's Twitter, YouTube. I think he's doing a good job. I didn't agree with him saying Gaethje and Poirier, the loser's going to retire. Maybe he has inside information from ATT about Poirier, possibly. I don't think the loser retire. I think if anything, Poirier's going to move up in weight if he lost. He might even move up if he wins. Like he could still fight Colby or something. At 170. They've talked about that fight a long time. But yeah, and McCann's an awesome dude. I think from what I've seen, and you know,
I
get him back in
follow
the
him as
cage.
well.
Yeah, get him back in the cage. You know, he's a fun guy. But yeah, it's nice to see like some of these fighters doing YouTube like in a fun way, like Sodiq, Hanato,
That's what yeah.
right? It's good. Anyways, all right, let's end this podcast.
Unprofessional breakdown.
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Let's end this podcast, guys. I'm gonna start a new one here. I'll tweet it out in a second. We're gonna break down UFC 291. Just bear with us for a moment, guys, and we'll talk to you in a minute. See you soon. Peace.